Good afternoon, everyone. We will be getting started shortly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Jersey Division on Civil Rights Step by Step, How to File a Complaint on the New Jersey Bias Investigation Access System. My name is T. Leonardo Santiago. I am the Director of Outreach and Community Relations. And today I'll be walking you through who is DCR, what is the law against discrimination, and how to file an intake on our portal. But before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so that we all know how to participate in today's event. First and foremost, this program will be recorded, and given this is a webinar, all audience members' cameras and microphones will be off. Nonetheless, as an audience member, you will have access to the Q&A tab where you can drop your questions, and you can submit your questions anonymously if you'd like to do so. Due to time constraints, please keep all questions on topic, and the topic for today is the New Jersey Bias Investigation Access System. Please note that the Division on Civil Rights and its employees do not provide legal counsel and/or legal advice, and we do not comment on ongoing investigations and/or litigation. This program is for information purposes only. Should you experience any technical difficulties today, please explain your problem through the chat feature, and we will try our best to assist you. If you have any additional issues, please email us at communityrelations@njcivilrights.gov. That is communityrelations@njcivilrights.gov. And lastly, please follow us on the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights Facebook and Twitter @CivilRightsNJ for our latest information on news, resources, and upcoming initiatives. Now let's get started. So like I said, today I'll be introducing you to, or reintroducing you to, the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, the law against discrimination, discrimination, harassment versus bias crimes, how to file a complaint on the New Jersey Bias Investigation Access System, and question and answer. For those of you that are new here, New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, that we refer to as DCR, has been around since 1945. Our mission is to prevent and eliminate bias, prejudice, and discrimination in New Jersey, and our vision is a New Jersey where all individuals are treated equally. Besides the law against discrimination, we also enforce the New Jersey Family Leave Act and the Fair Chance in Housing Act. Now, the law against discrimination is the first and strongest anti-discriminatory statute in the country. We have over 20 protected classes, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Secondly, the New Jersey Family Leave Act. This act actually provides job protected leave. It gives you about 12 weeks of job protection within a 24-month period to take care of a loved one, a newborn, or someone equivalent to a loved one. For more information, you can visit our website or check out our fact sheets on the Family Leave Act. And the third law we enforce is the Fair Chance in Housing Act, which essentially gives housing protection to individuals that may have a criminal background when they are applying for housing and the housing provider is looking to look into their criminal background to determine whether or not they can be attended. And for more information about the FCHA, please visit our website and check out our FCHA landing page. It has a lot of valuable information there for you. But let's continue. So essentially, the law against discrimination makes it unlawful to subject people to discrimination and harassment in the areas of employment, even if that employer has one employee, housing and real estate, except two family owner-occupied dwellings, and places of public accommodation. So that is essentially anything that is open to the public. And that includes medical facilities, doctor's offices, public schools, the supermarket, the movies, so on and so forth. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 20 protected classes. And those 20 protected classes, as you can see, each one of us have, two or more categories that we fall within. Now, the thing about the law against discrimination is that you can actually file a complaint with our office, whether you were discriminated against because of your actual protected class or your perceived protected class. So for example, I go for a job interview and they perceive me to be a particular national origin, even though I identify as Latina, right? I identify as South American, they perceive me to be Central American. And they refuse to give me that job because they don't want to hire someone that's Central American. I could actually file a complaint with the Division on Civil Rights because the employer denied me employment because they perceived me to be from a Central American country. Now, as you can see here, not all of the protected classes apply to all of the areas. So for example, when we're looking at age, age is only applicable in employment, familial status and lawful source of income are only applicable in housing, and genetic information is only applicable in employment. It's really important to highlight that not all bias incidents are bias crimes, but all bias crimes are bias incidents. So what does that really mean? I think first we need to break down what is the difference between bias incidents and bias crimes, and the difference between what Division on Civil Rights investigates versus what our sister agencies investigate before we pivot to NJBIAS. So Division on Civil Rights, we conduct civil investigations into discrimination and harassment. So we're looking at acts of discrimination and harassment that violated the law against discrimination or the other two laws that we enforce, and are they civil rights violations? We also focus on whether the employee, housing provider, or place of public accommodation knew about the bias-based harassment and took the appropriate steps to address it and stop it. Now, in some cases, a bias incident may also constitute a violation of the law against discrimination, but that's only if it applies in employment, housing, or a place of public accommodation, as we previously discussed. Now, when we're talking about bias crimes, a bias crime, and this is actually the definition from, the definition that law enforcement uses, is a bias incident is defined as any suspected or confirmed violation of the bias intimidation statute. So in the simplest terms, under the statute, bias crimes are criminal offenses that are committed against a person, a private property, or a public property based on race, color, religion, gender, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity expression, national origin, or ethnicity. And criminal investigations focus on the individual perpetrator and whether or not the crime is committed with the purpose to intimidate a member of that protected class, or knowing that the conduct would intimidate a member of that protected class. So for Division on Civil Rights, we have over 20 protected classes, and we're only looking at discrimination and harassment in the areas of employment, housing, and place of public accommodation. Bias crimes has 9 protected classes, and they're looking at whether or not the perpetrator sole focus was committing this act because of the persons of that protected class. So let's say that you come across a bias incident, or you may think it's a bias crime and you're not sure where to report. We always recommend that everyone visit NJBIAS Investigation Access System. Now, the online portal, you go to bias.njcivilrights.gov. I actually already have it open. I'm just going to reshare my screen real quick. All right. So, and let me just make it a little smaller. Okay, so you just type into your search bar, bias.njcivilrights.gov, and it will take you to this landing page. Welcome to New Jersey Bias Investigation Access System. Now, this online portal, it's important to note that once you click File a Complaint, you're going to get these 6 icons, right? The first 5 belong to the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights. The 6th icon belongs to bias crimes. When you click on any of these first 5 icons, you will be prompted to create a portal, and I'll walk you through that in a second. And these directly tie to Division on Civil Rights. This 6th icon belongs to Division of Criminal Justice. And when you click on here, it will take you to a 2-page intake form that you can complete. So I always recommend that the individual just take time and figure out what's going on. And if you're not sure, just file with both. So for example, if you believe that you're being subjected to discrimination or bias-based harassment because of, let's say, your race, then you would just click place of public accommodation. And now if it's your first time, you're gonna go to register, and you're gonna enter your valid email address, create a username, you're gonna input your password. Because if I've already created an account, I'm just gonna go back into sign in and hit sign in. So now that I'm signed in, the system is I'm gonna be able to start my intake form. And I'm just gonna make this a little bigger so everyone can see. So the first page is gonna be our instructions. It's just gonna walk you through what the intake form is asking you for, and just a quick little overview of the process. You're gonna hit acknowledge and hit save and next. Now you're gonna be asked basic information. So are you seeking to add new allegations to existing claim? If this is your first time, you're gonna say no. If you already have a claim with our office, you would hit yes. Are you filing on behalf of someone? This is an important question, especially if you're a community organizer or a community member and you want to help someone file an intake. If you select, are you filing for someone else, you would just click yes. Now, you have multiple options. So if you are an attorney for a complainant, you would just select attorney. If you are a legal guardian of an individual with a disability, a parent or legal guardian of a minor, or a non-attorney advocate for a complainant. So let's say that I wanted to select, I'm a community member, a community organization, and I want to file on behalf of one of my constituents. I will select non-attorney advocate. Did the alleged events occur in New Jersey? Yes. These questions are optional. Anything that has the asterisk is required. Anything else is optional. Now, most recent date of harm. Let's say that it happens yesterday, November 8th. Now, our statute of limitation is 180 days, meaning that if, let's say that it happened back in March, the system will let you know that you are outside the 180 days, and we will need additional information as to whether or not we can take this complaint. So the system will let you know along the way if it's not within our wheelhouse in terms of if it happens outside New Jersey or if it's outside the 180 days. So let's say that our incident occurred November 8th. We're gonna go save and next. And the system allows you to save as you go along. So if you ever have to exit and come back in, you'll have that available. Now, my user information, because I already created this online portal, it already captured all of my information. Now, it is important to note that if during the process you ever need to have your interview conducted in Spanish, or you need any other type of accommodation or request a language interpreter, you're able to make those selections here. If you need American Sign Language, whatever accommodations you need, you would just identify that need here. And your intake investigator will make sure that that gets addressed. So and you always want to provide an additional contact information. So in the event that your cell phone's not working, or your email address, or whatever the case may be, that we have a secondary line. So maybe this is going to be your main business line for us to contact you if you are filing on behalf of someone. Now, complainant's demographic information. This information is optional only. You do not have to fill it out. If you choose to do so, you're more than welcome to, and it's only for stats purposes only. Now, if you're filing on behalf of someone else, then you're definitely going to want to add additional contact information in here. So you're going to add complainant's information, and you would just put in how their salutation, their first name, their last name, and then a good contact number. We also want to make sure we have a valid email address for them. If this is an individual that does not have an email address, then you may want to put in your email address on their behalf. We also want to have a mailing address for them just in case. And then you're just going to hit submit. Now you'll see how the complainant's contact information already popped up here. If you have to go back and edit, let's say that you misspelled the name or you got the phone number incorrect, you would just click this little down caret, hit edit, and then you would just go back in there, update the information, and then hit submit again. Now here we're asking you for respondent's information. Respondent is the entity you're alleging violated your civil rights. So here we were going to select add respondent. You're going to add the name of the organization. And then let's say that there was a phone number, that you have their phone number. You can always do a quick Google search. If you have an email address for them, that's great. If not, that's fine. And then we want to know the address of where the harm occurred. So let's say it happened at 123 John Street in Newark, New Jersey. And we're going to hit submit. Same thing here. If, let's say you made a spelling error or you found the phone number, then you would just hit edit and then go back in there and then you can change it. And it'll update automatically. Then you're going to hit save and next. Now the intake details, this is the important information. So we want to know in what county did this occur. So let's say it happened in Essex. What was the type of place of public accommodation? And you have a slew of options. So shop or store, restaurant, hotel, healthcare, park or campsite, summer camp, distributor of goods and services, anything public transportation. Was it a museum or cultural institution, amusement park, libraries, schools K through 12, and schools, college, or universities? These would be public. Government buildings or agencies. This would be state, local, or municipal. Jails, police, fire stations, or departments. Same, local, municipal, or state. We don't have jurisdiction over federal. So on and so forth. And let's say that none of these apply to your place of public accommodation. You would just click other business open to place of public accommodation. So I'm going to select, let's say that it was a school. And is the harm continuing? If it was a one-time incident, you would say no. If it's an ongoing incident, you would mark yes. Let's say it was medical facility. Okay. So here we're going to select add discrimination, right? Well, before we go to add discrimination, you're going to see there's 3 categories: discrimination, harassment, retaliation. So if you believe that you were subjected to discrimination, you select discrimination, add discrimination. And then here, we're going to ask you to select. So were you denied access to this place? we denied full or equal accommodations, sick advantages, and then you just go down the list and select the one that is applicable to you. So I will, for the purposes of today, I will select denied full services on the bases, and then you have a whole list to which you can select from. Let's put gender identity expression. I would select how I identify. And then here you want to describe in chronological order what transpired. If you remember dates, locations, names and titles of individuals, you want to include that here. Any statements made. Anything to identify what occurred related to the discrimination allegation, right? And then we're going to hit save. Once again, if you need to go in here and make any edits, you're just going to click this little edit button. And you would just go in here, you would make your edits. Now, as you see here, if it was for more than one protected class, you would just select, right? You would select all the protected classes that are applicable to this particular situation. All right. So let's say that you had witnesses, right? You were there with friends, your friends saw this happen. You would then go in here and just add their names. If you have an email address for them, you don't need to include the employer name or job. You also want to give their address and what information. So witness as of discrimination by park employee. And then their address. And then you would just hit submit. Then we're going to hit save and next. And if you have more witnesses, you would add them, of course. So now let's say that you have footage, you have text messages or videos or whatever the case may be. You can actually upload directly onto the intake form. We give you up to 15 megabytes. So you would just click upload and then select your file and then be able to go in and submit the information. If for whatever reason it does not go through, then I will explain to you what you could do at the end. Then we're going to hit save and next. Now, as you see, the same questionnaire, you're going to get this confirmation page, which resembles the instructions page, right? Now, if you should have any issues uploading your information onto the portal, what you're going to do is you're going to copy the NJDCR for you at njcivilrights.gov email. And once you get that intake number, you will just email this email address with your intake number and ask them to upload the information onto the portal. So you've gone through this. We're going to hit I acknowledge, save and continue. And now you're going to get to select an appointment, right? So you will look at the upcoming appointments, see which one works best for you. Let's say Monday at 9 a.m. works for me. I'm going to go ahead and book this 9 a.m. appointment. Now it's going to ask me, click here to complete. Make sure you click in the blue button. It's booking it for me. And now, once you get this confirmation page, then you know that you are set. So we're going to go to home. Now, the complainant portal, this is your one-stop shop, right? So in the complainant portal, you have messages. If I want to message my investigator or the person, my intake person, I can send them a message here. So and then it'll process and it'll create a thread for you. Your intakes in progress. This is important for you to know. Let's say that you started an intake and you didn't finish it, or you thought you finished it, but you weren't 100% sure. You're going to find it under your unsubmitted intake forms, and it's going to tell you the type of complaint you submitted and when it was created. You should know that if you do not complete your intake within 30 days of starting it, the system automatically closes it out, and you do get those 15-day notifications and 30-day notifications. Now, I already submitted my intake, so I have my intake number, and this is the number you would use to email that email address should your additional information not be able to get uploaded into the system. Now, this little caret gives you a slew of things, right? So if I want to view my intake to make sure I have all the details, I can click on view and it shows me everything, all the information that I submitted, right? I could go back here, back to my intake, and then if I need to send a message, like I said, you could send or view messages. If you need to reschedule your interview for whatever reason, you would just click on reschedule. And then you select the new date and time that works best for you. If you need, let's say that when you originally did your intake form, you didn't have the documentation and you have it now, you can go here and go upload and view documents. And here you would be able to select upload document and upload your documents here and then hit submit. And then if you needed to add a witness or if you decided to retain an attorney, then you would be able to add that information here. So after you've selected your intake appointment, we're just going to go back quickly to our presentation. So once you've selected your intake appointment, you are going to be called by an intake specialist on the day of your time. For individuals that may need an accommodation, so let's say that you don't have access to a computer, you're not computer savvy, you need a reasonable accommodation, whether that's a language interpreter or any other type of accommodation, you would call us at either 1-833-NJDCR for you or 711 relay. And then that way we're able to set up those accommodations for you, or you can give us or you can email us and then communicate whatever that need is tied to your intake, and we're able to set that up. So we've scheduled the interview and the intake specialist is going to call you. Now, the point to the interview is that we want to ensure that all the information is captured in the intake. We understand that not everyone can communicate in writing or articulate themselves in the manner that they wish to. So we want to make sure that we've captured everything that's occurred. And during that, we want to establish, did it happen within the state of New Jersey? Did it happen within the last 180 days? Is it due to can it be tied to a protected class in one of the 3 areas that we are enforced? And is there any additional information that we need to be able to make that determination? So if after the interview it's determined that we do have jurisdiction, we will then the intake specialist is going to prepare a form that you will review and then sign electronically. Once you sign this document, this becomes known as the verified complaint. And we will then serve that on respondent being the entity you alleged violated your civil rights. And then respondent has a chance to respond with their version of events. After we receive respondents' versions of events, the case will move to investigations for the most part. And during the investigation, the assigned investigator is looking to interview you, respondent, any witnesses that are relevant to the case. DCR will review and will request and review any and all relevant documents, and that can include photos, videos, policies, payroll, so on and so forth. And it's important to note that during the course of an investigation, retaliation is prohibited, and post-investigation, retaliation is prohibited as well. Now, during the course of an investigation, if the parties do not reach a mutual resolution, then the division will issue a finding at the end of the investigation. Now, there's two findings that we issue. It could either be a finding of probable cause, and essentially what that finding says is the evidence substantiates a violation of the law against discrimination, or the New Jersey Family Leave Act, or the Fair Chance and Housing Act, whichever is the case that whichever law is that we're investigating at the time. And then DCR will either take the case to the Office of Administrative Law or Superior Court, depending on the charges, on the facts of the case. If there's a finding of no probable cause, all that says is that the evidence does not substantiate a violation of the law against discrimination or the other two laws or the other two laws that we enforce, and then we will just simply close the case. Now, it is important to note that if you file a complaint with our office, you cannot then go and file the same complaint with Superior Court. It's one or the other. And then you have 2 years from the, I believe it's 2 years from the date of the incident to withdraw your case from us and take it to Superior Court if you choose to file with them. I also wanted to loop you in. We do have a education and training unit. They offer free virtual trainings online. Check out, this is just some of the topics they cover. They have a huge bucket of topics that they're covering that are expanding every day. To learn more, go to njcivilrights.gov and just click on our training tab. And before I look into our Q&A section, I did want to let you know, please be advised the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights and its employees do not provide legal counsel or legal advice, and we do not comment on ongoing investigations. I also wanted to let you know that if you check out our website, which is www.njcivilrights.gov, everything and anything you need to learn about Division on Civil Rights, you can find here. So for example, if you want to know more about the law against discrimination, you would just click here, go to know about the law, and it gives you a breakdown of everything from protected classes to what is discrimination, harassment, retaliation, so on and so forth, a breakdown of New Jersey Family Leave Act, Fair Chance and Housing Act. And it also gives you how to file a complaint, how to file FCH complaint. We have a slew of resources that cover everything from, if it just load, my internet's a little slow today. We have fact sheets in over 14 different languages. These are just quick one-pagers on how to understanding the law that we enforce and the different protected classes. We also have our division reports. We just released our white supremacy report. Guidance documents. I encourage everyone to check out our guidance on discrimination in school discipline. We also have our guidance following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on 303 Creative, our K-12 addressing bias in schools and college campuses. So there's a lot of resources here that are available to the general public, as well as the training website. So with that, I will turn it over to Q&A. And let me just stop sharing. Okay, so the question is, what is the difference between harassment and retaliation? Can harassment also be a form of retaliation? Yes, so to be clear, I am not an attorney, and I'm only giving this presentation for information purposes only. So yes, harassment can be a form of retaliation. Everything's very fact specific, meaning that we had a case where the employer was harassing the female because of her religion, correct? And then he retaliated against her by firing her. In that case, he harassed her, and then his retaliation was terminating her employment. We had another case where the individual complained about a coworker harassing them, and then the retaliation was that now the supervisor started harassing them, and in terms of writing them up more, giving them more work, things of that nature. Our next question is, I'm a disabled social worker who can't use the phone and TTD is obsolete. Does DCR offer Zoom and email interviews for people with hearing issues? Thanks. So like I said, the division we make, we make as many accommodations as possible. So it's everything on the basis of what the individual needs. So if you believe that you want to follow intake with our office, or you have an intake with our office, then you would just communicate your need for a reasonable accommodation to us. And then the intake specialist would figure out a way to make sure that that accommodation happens. Okay, can someone be denied housing voucher through DCA for conviction of loitering, obstruction of justice? That is a great question. Unfortunately, that is outside of my jurisdiction. I would suggest that you look at the DCA website for more information, or our FCHA website for additional information. And what is the process of transferring a case from DCR to Superior Court within 2 years? That is a great question. We actually have on our website, under Know the Law, maybe you scroll, not Know the Law, I lie. Under File a Complaint, on the LAD, it will tell you what filing a complaint with DCR versus filing a complaint with Superior Court. So it is, your filing deadline is within 2 years of an allegation. If you choose to you have to withdraw your case before our office makes a determination, and it has to be within those 2 years. So I will drop the link, and you could just read through the land through that tab, and it will explain everything in great detail for you. Okay. If we want to withdraw a complaint to file with Superior Court, must we do so before the issue? Yes. And will we still? Yes. So you would have to, okay, if you want to withdraw a complaint to file Superior Court, must we do so before the division issues a finding? Yes, you do. Like I said, just visit our website for more information. It gives you a full breakdown of the processes. Okay. If there were prior complaints against a respondent, would investigators be privy to that? And if complaints were made to DCR or Superior Court? Short answer is yes, if it's DCR related. If it's Superior Court, I'm inclined to say no. Okay. How can the division respond to a case in time, sensitive housing incidents if the landlord is attempting to file an eviction out of retaliation or discrimination? Okay. So housing is a different subset. So essentially the processes that you saw for the place of public accommodation, when you get to the end with housing, you don't select the date and time for them to call you. They actually reach out to you within, if I'm mistaken, within the 5-day mark. And if you mark it as continuing harm, imminent harm, then they will contact you a little bit quicker. Also, housing cases are different than our employment and place of public accommodation cases. So if it's retaliation or discrimination because of a protected class, that is when we have jurisdiction. If it's retaliation that is not based on the protected class and it's not within our jurisdiction, then we do not have jurisdiction, and that's all very case specific. Okay, I think those were all the questions that we had today. If you have any more questions, I do welcome you to please reach out to us at communityrelations@njcivilrights.gov. Should you have any questions about NJBIAS, we do have a how-to handbook in English and in Spanish, so please feel free to use the handbook. That is a great question. What if I don't have an attorney? So the Division on Civil Rights, we are a state agency. We are a free service. You do not need to have an attorney to engage with our office. That is within your discretion whether or not you want to have an attorney, but we are a free service. Secondly, we do not ask for immigration status. We do not care about immigration status. That is a question that will never be raised on our side. All we want to know is whether or not you were subjected to discrimination or bias-based harassment because of one of the 20 protected classes within employment, housing, or place of public accommodation. That is essentially all we care about within the last 180 days. If there are multiple people that are involved in terms of being subjected to discrimination, then each person should be filing their own intake and flagging the other individuals as witnesses. Okay. I think that is all that we have today. I'm more than happy to give everyone 18 minutes of their time back, and I'll just hang out and see if there's anyone that has any last minute questions. The how to file a complaint and the presentation will be available within the next 48 to 72 hours on our website. So you can keep this presentation with you in case you need to go through the filing system. Like I said, we do have a how to file on the website. It's a PDF that gives you screenshot by screenshot on how to file. And without ado, I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you for joining me. Is the other complaint time the same process?